Hi everyone, hope y'all are doing well. I wanted to take just a couple of minutes to just talk a little bit about Unit 2, what you can expect to tackle this week, and of course, just give you some things to really consider as you get started with this unit, because this unit is, of course, going to have a couple of discussion boards within it, but also have an assignment toward the end that is going to be, I think, a really good starting place for you as you begin thinking about paper writing for our class. So before I get to that, I do want to let you know I have started grading the Unit 1 assignments that you just submitted, the literary criticism and pairing literary criticism to a text. My goal throughout the week is to try to grade about five of those or so a day, meaning you all will be getting these back in groups, just in chunks here and there. I am providing you with feedback in Turnitin, so I'll be dragging over comments and things that align with things that maybe that are appearing within your writing, both content and structure and grammar and so on and so forth. And then also providing you with a couple-minute video that kind of breaks down some of my comments. So do be mindful to look for both of those things. And if you have any questions about either one of those when you get your assignment back with your grade, do let me know and I'll do what I can to help clarify that for you. All right, so Unit 2. Of course, within Unit 1, a lot of what we were doing kind of was setting the stage for a lot of what you're going to encounter in the class, kind of setting the stage for what it means to really consider the concept of literary analysis and what that looks like. And you did do a little bit of that analysis work and connective work with the Unit 1 assignment that you just completed. Now, Unit 2 is going to have you diving into, as you'll see here with the title, poetry. I recognize readily that poetry is not everyone's favorite kind of text or kind of literature to examine. I'll be honest with you, poetry is probably one of the areas that I historically have struggled with the most. I still struggle with it occasionally from whenever I do teach it. But one of the things that I'm a firm believer in is that if you can analyze a very short piece of text, in this case poetry, and again, most of the poetry you're going to be doing in this class is relatively short. If you can digest and analyze that in a critical way, again, not perfectly, because we're never striving for perfection, we're striving for the very best work you can do. If you can do that with a relatively short text, you can do that with texts that are a little bit longer. And of course, we'll be getting into longer texts in future units. So again, this unit is going to focus on poetry. As with Unit 1, and it'll be the same for the units to come, you do have an advanced organizer and a checklist. I do encourage you to take advantage of these. Take a look at them. They do have some really good things for you to consider, and it'll kind of, especially if you find yourself forgetting when things are due, forgetting what you need to do at what point in the unit, this is going to serve as a really good starting place for you. One of the things that's going to be really important to you, especially as you dive into this particular unit, is really reading this introduction to poetry and poetry selections bit of content here. This is going to serve as a really good starting place. The poetic terms are really important because you are going to need to know what those terms are, and you're going to want to eventually feel comfortable enough to use them and use them really effectively. And of course, there are different selections for this unit. And of course, these are provided here. You have Jericho Brown, The Microscopes, Megan Fernandez, Skyla, and Charbidis. I probably butchered those. I never pronounced those right. Frank O'Hara's Morning, Craig Morgan Tischer's The Chorus, Naomi Shiabnai, World of the Future We Thirsted, and D.A. Powell, Open Gesture of an Eye. And again, you can keep scrolling through here. Those are just some of the basic ones there. Again, really good poetry within this unit. Just be familiar with a good number of these selections. All right, and then also you're, of course, going to have the opportunity to do a little bit of work with semiotics. Some of you chose to do structuralism and semiotics within your Unit 1 assignment. If you did, some of this will seem a little bit familiar to you. But what's really nice about this particular approach is that it's going to lend really nicely to doing some analysis and doing some deep diving into poetry. And of course, the example that you have to look at here is going to be with using the road not taken. So I do encourage you to take a look at all of these different links here. They're going to be really important to you for this upcoming assignment that's due this week, but also just in general throughout this particular unit. Now, what you're going to be doing with this week's assignment, the Unit 2.1 discussion, this is a really unique assignment, but I also think it's really cool because it gets you thinking about the pieces and parts of a poem and how they can be used to provide meaning and provide larger context that you may need to understand the poem that you're working with. So what you're going to do is you're going to select one of the poems from the selections in the unit. And again, that was what I just showed you. I didn't go through the entire list, but I showed you some of the early ones. You're going to copy and paste that text, all the text of the poem, and you're going to go through the poem and carefully, word by word, consider the following. Which words or phrases stand out to you? Which images or ideas are meaningful or important? Which words or concepts are confusing to you? And which ideas or words would you like to learn more about? And then what you're essentially going to do is you're going to begin an internal treasure hunt. So you're going to highlight words or phrases that meet the criteria of what's here, and you're going to create clickable hyperlinks. So you're going to insert something within that word or within that phrase that links to a picture or something that helps clarify that particular word, that particular phrase in a really vivid way. Overall, you need to have at least 12 hyperlinks throughout the span of your poem. And they should directly link to pertinent words or phrases that they are linked to. And again, ideally you want to make sure that of the 12, you have at least one video, at least one relevant image, at least one relevant web page, one interesting definition, and one interesting etymology. And again, there are links here to help clarify some of that for you. And of course, there is a sample. Again, that's one of the nice things about this class is that if you do encounter an assignment that seems a little foreign to you, there's always going to be an example for you to follow. So I do encourage you to take a look at this sample and let it inform the work that you're going to do. And of course, with this assignment, with this discussion board, just like most of the others for the class, you do want to make sure to respond to 2 of your classmates. Please make sure you're doing this, y'all. Not everyone is thus far into the class. I'm still having people who are not doing the replies, and that it does significantly hurt your grade. So please make sure to do so. Again, make sure that you consider proper grammar, all of the bells and whistles that you know that you need to for any assignment. And of course, this one will have a different grading rubric. It won't be drastically different than what you've done in the past. So just be mindful of that. But this is what is going to be due this Friday, the 18th by 11:59. So do take a moment as you're going throughout this week to review this assignment, review it up front, do some of this work, and then go back to it. That way you really understand what you're being asked to do. And that's going to be what gets you started with this particular unit, with Unit 2. Okay, I hope that's helpful. I wanted to try to keep it pretty short, and I'm short-ish right now. But again, that's what's due this week. Again, that discussion board, initial with replies, 11:59 by Friday the 18th. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, I will have your Unit 1 assignments back to you by the end of this week. It should be by Friday, if not a little before. And again, they'll be coming in groups of about five each day. Also, as a final note, if you are missing any work, and I mean anything from replies to an entire assignments, and you have not contacted me to talk about making that work up, please do so soon. I don't want any of you to get very far behind, especially at this point in the semester, because as you all have probably noticed, things are starting to ramp up in the class. They're going to continue to do so throughout the remainder of the semester, and I don't want any of you to get too far behind if we can avoid it. All right, so please reach out to me. Let me know what I can do for you. I look forward to continue to read the Unit 1 assignments, and I look forward to seeing the work you're going to do with the first assignment here in Unit 2. Take care, and please reach out if you need anything.